Hi everyone, this is Josh. Today we're going to briefly talk about one of the worst films of 2021, Space Jam 2, or Space Jam: A New Legacy, or Cash Grab, or whatever. This film was written by too many people, and it was directed by Malcolm D. Lee. This is a sequel to the flawed but beloved 1996 film with Michael Jordan that I must have watched like 100 times as a kid. The only reason why I watched this is because I flew on Southwest Airlines recently to visit my girlfriend's family in Florida, and this is one of the few complimentary films the airline has available to watch. It was free to watch, and yet I still feel like I was ripped off. Space Jam: A New Legacy follows Lebron James and his son Dom, who get trapped in the Warner Brothers serververse after a rogue AI called Algae traps them there. In order to get back home, LeBron James must beat Algae's basketball team, the Goon Squad, which includes his son Dom. The only reason why I'm talking about this is because I think it's a very important example of the worst aspects of Hollywood. Do not be fooled by the somewhat coherent premise I just laid out for you. This film's primary purpose is to spam a bunch of Warner Brothers intellectual property and internet memes at you. It just feels like one long, insufferable advertisement. I really ragged on Spider-Man: No Way Home recently for its incessant fan service, but at least that film tried to make some of that fan service serve its plot to some extent. This new film's whole existence is meant to appeal to people who care more about branding than filmmaking. The world of this story is set up in such a way where all of these Warner Brothers properties like the Looney Tunes conveniently live within the same digital universe or serververse on different planets. We find out early on that the Looney Tunes, with the exception of Bugs Bunny, have left Looney Tune World to go to other planets thanks to Algae. The only reason why this is part of the plot is so that Warner Brothers can remind you of all the different properties they own so you can go and watch them and maybe hopefully buy them on DVD or see whatever rebooted versions of these films are coming out soon, like Matrix Resurrections or something. It also allows them to have this embarrassing sequence where footage from The Matrix, Mad Max, Austin Powers, and other Warner Brothers films can be repurposed to recruit the Looney Tunes living on those respective planets who show up in iconic scenes from those different films. Maybe to some people who passively watched these films years ago will think this sequence is cute, but to me it just felt like one long YouTube ad that you can't skip. The very few parts of the plot that don't outright pander to you involve this melodrama between LeBron James and his son Dom. LeBron doesn't understand his son who wants to be a video game developer. He really pushes Dom to make basketball a career the same way he did. He constantly badgers his son and says,
"You can't be great unless you put in the work, buddy."
I wasn't expecting this part of the plot, or any part of the plot for that matter, to be groundbreaking or an improvement over the original even. I just wish it didn't feel like a lifeless story template. This is a 9-to-5 movie where it feels like many of the people involved are just doing it to get paid and not putting forth any creative passion whatsoever. I feel like I have to bring up the soundtrack, which is terrible. Like, I can't remember a single song from the soundtrack, whereas with the original Space Jam, there's like at least 4 songs that I could remember. The only standouts in this film are Don Cheadle, who I think puts a lot of effort into his performance as the villain. I also think the animators and editors clearly put a lot of effort into their job with all the different types of animation styles that's incorporated into the film. It often feels like this film relied on the animation to cover up how much of a dumpster fire it is. The animation is still far from perfect. There are still parts of the animation that fall short, like the lip syncing, which looks so off in some scenes. The movement of the 2D characters also looks awkward and not very fluid. The 3D animation is better, which is mostly used during the basketball game, but it's not really even a legitimate basketball game. The scoring system is based off a random arcade game made by Dom, so it's hard to follow what's happening or how this version of basketball works. During this game, a bunch of Warner Brothers properties like King Kong are watching, which adds absolutely nothing to the experience. It's just more cancerous fan service eye candy. There's only 2 times where I felt like I chuckled a little bit. There's a slight moment of awareness when LeBron is in a board meeting with executives from Warner Brothers. They're trying to sell LeBron on doing some kind of film with him, and he tells them that athletes trying to act in a film never works out, which is pretty true. There's also a funny gag where Marvin the Martian has a bunch of different doors that need to be opened until he can finally exit his spaceship. Besides that, this is an absolutely lifeless waste of a film that did nothing for me. Unless you can somehow watch this film for free, I would recommend avoiding it because it's hot garbage. I was going to be generous and give this film a 1 out of 5 because of Don Cheadle and the animators, but because it had to include that awful scene where Porky Pig raps, I refuse to show any mercy. I'm gonna give Space Jam: A New Legacy a 0.5 out of 5. Thanks for watching, everyone. I really appreciate it. Be sure to leave your thoughts on how terrible Space Jam: A New Cash Grab was below. Feel free to leave a recommendation on a film, TV show, or a subject that I should discuss next while you're down there. And of course, be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, like the video, leave a nice comment, and do all the things you can to make the YouTube algorithm like me. Thanks again, everyone. This is Josh, and I will see you in the next video, which will probably be a review for Licorice Pizza. Until then, stay safe and well, and Happy New Year. I'll see you later. Bye.